All right, so Stellantis is the gift that keeps on giving. And you know what? If they didn't give us so much material, I wouldn't have anything to say. So those of you who have said, man, all he talks about is Dodge and Stellantis and he's negative, these guys, this is starting to almost be funny. I mean, if you can't just look at it from that perspective, like some of the stuff that they get themselves into is hilarious. And it's the most self-inflicted, destructive behavior that I've ever seen happen in a company. I think I heard I heard somebody call him Enron the other day, and you know, the lying, the deceptiveness. We just talked about the rumor that Stellantis is asking their Dodge dealerships to buy a bunch of their Ram trucks and put them into the loaner fleet so that they can inflate their sales for second quarter numbers. And then I read this article, and this happened just a few weeks ago. It wasn't that long ago. But you gotta laugh when you think this CEO still gets to keep his job. He still gets to keep his job despite one screw up after another screw up after another screw up, and embarrassment after embarrassment. And if that emperor has no clothes story that I shared with you a couple videos ago doesn't fit this so perfectly and keeps getting reinforced and confirmed, I don't know what does. Because this just happened a few weeks ago, and I just bumped into this story, and I almost fell out of my chair laughing. So Stellantis is rolling out their Alfa Romeo Milano, and Italy threw a fit and said, you cannot use an Italian name or the Italian branding, Italian flag on a car that's not built in Italy. Well, the Alfa Romeo Milano is built in Poland. So for that reason, they had to change the name of that car to the Alfa Romeo Junior. And everybody just kind of shrugged it off and kept on moving. No big deal, made some headlines, and then it was over. But it was Stellantis trying to mislead people into believing that it's an Italian-made vehicle when it's being built in Poland. So again, it's okay for them to mislead. Well, someone at the top, let's just say Tavares and his minions, were all sitting around in a meeting room thinking, well, let's call it an Italian name because people think, you know, Italian stuff is cool, and Italian clothes, Italian shoes, Italian everything. Let's go ahead and let's use the Italian name, and then people will think it's Italian, and then they'll tell people, hey, I just bought an Italian car, but it's really a car built in Poland. And not there's anything wrong with that, but it's the transparency and honesty that I would say this company has so many issues with on almost a perpetually constant basis, especially with our prior favorite brand, Dodge. So after they get burned on the whole Alfa Romeo Milano debacle, and that they should have seen coming, they knew. They've got more lawyers than you could ever imagine. They should have known, but they still tried to pull this thing off and then got slapped by Italy. Then they ship in 134 Fiat Topolinos, these little teeny electric cars that they shipped into Italy. And in the Fiat, there's an Italian flag. Now, they know that you can't do that, but they still did it anyways, thinking maybe no one will notice, I guess. I don't know. But here's the funny part. And if I'm Carlos Tavares, I got to be thinking, when's this board of directors going to fire me? Because this is just utter stupidity, completely preventable. But they were trying to say that little Fiat Topolino, or make it appear that it was built in Italy or made in Italy with that Italian flag, and then sell it in Italy, of all places, to Italians who would think, well, this has got an Italian heritage, which was their explanation for putting the Italian flag on this thing. But the police noticed when the cars were coming into port that they had that flag and seized 134 of these things. Seized them. The government took away their stuff, said they're not yours, they're ours. Now, they're going to get their cars back, I believe. It looks like they're going to get them back because they said temporarily seized. But could you imagine? I would love to have been a fly on the wall when somebody at Stellantis walked into Tavares' office and said, well, you won't believe what this shit just happened. A bunch of Italian cops just jacked 134 of our little Topolino cars. Well, why? Well, because we tried to slip the Italian flag by them and make people think those things were built in Italy. Well, they're really built in Morocco. They're not built in Italy. They're built in Morocco. And the Italians knew this. So the Italians were probably sitting there knowing these things were on their way, knowing the antics and the BS that Stellantis plays, and they see these things coming off in the port, and they go and they jack them. They take them, 134 of them. Well, now Stellantis is saying, well, oops, we'll go and we'll take off the Italian flag. We'll remove the Italian flag from that car. So what is there going to be, this spot where there used to be a little emblem? And I just got to think, how hilarious. You're pumping 134 cars and you know that you're breaking Italian law. You just got through being reminded of the Italian law with the Milano, and you still try to slip these things by them with the Italian flag, thinking maybe they won't notice that this shipment's coming from Morocco, of all places. So I just had to share this with you all, that it's one screw up after another screw up, and it's not like screw ups that most publicly traded, large Fortune 500 type, international type companies, I mean, they don't make these kinds of mistakes. Generally, there's so many lawyers and so many finance people and so many pretty smart folks that are saying, hey, don't do this, be careful with this, we need to watch out for that. So I got to think somebody who stuck that Italian flag on there and tried to slip this by the Italians is losing their job. But the person who should lose their job, which I can't imagine he's going to be there long. I got to think that the board of directors is going to go, how many times do we need to make headlines being embarrassed? At what point do we just get somebody else in there that is going to pay a little bit closer attention to just doing things right and not following some insane personal agenda and shipping these little tiny goofy EVs, but nonetheless pumping 134 cars in and getting them taken away? I just had to laugh. I had to laugh. It's more craziness from Stellantis. It's not just here in America, the stupid stuff they do. This is everywhere. This is all over the world. And it's just stupid. It's just stupidity at its very best. Totally preventable. Like lack of intellectual maturity or something. I don't know how this guy could still keep his job. And is that a huge deal? No, they're going to go peel a bunch of flags off. But it's just indicative of what we're dealing with here in America. I would say, I mean, they're laying people off and not knowing how things are going to get built. They've laid people off several times and they've scratched their head at least one time. Oops, maybe we shouldn't have laid so many off. They've laid off so many engineers. They've moved so many jobs out of the country that the service level and quality of the products and the customer service, everything's going to hell and going to keep going to hell. Yet Carlos Tavares gets to keep his job and sit there on his throne completely freaking naked and make the company look stupid every couple weeks. And I want to thank you, Mr. Tavares, for the content, because it's freaking hilarious. When I saw this, I fell out of my chair, started laughing my ass off. So with that, everybody, just had to share this, and it's just one thing after another thing. Please like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think about this hilarious story. I mean, when was the last time you heard of 100 plus cars getting seized by a foreign government because the gigantic automaker is that stupid? Like, it's just freaking great. Like and subscribe, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.